Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Garibaldi Red podcast. With usual host Matt Tays away on international duty, you all get to witness a podcast hosting debut for myself, Sam Evans, so please be kind in the comments. Even though the season feels like it's only just finished, there's already a lot to talk about regarding Forest. Of course there is, it's Forest after all. And to help me talk through some of the recent happenings, I'm joined by Sara. Sara, how are you and how are you coping with the break from domestic football?
Yeah, it's good. I went to the England match last night, so it doesn't feel like I've had much of a break. There's so much going on though, isn't there? So it feels like it's still continuing. So no, but it's nice to have a break, but busy.
Good stuff. Yeah, I was also at the game yesterday. It was an interesting one, wasn't it? It was a set up for a perfect day to go and watch football in the evening sun, and then the football ruined it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it there. I mean, I thought Senegal was really good. I thought it was going to be a difficult match anyway, because I don't think they've lost a game in 26 since we beat them in the World Cup. So, and the players are good. They were fast, and I think they just got the better of us on the breaks for those last couple of games. Some defending mistakes, but at least it was a friendly, and we got to see Morgan Gibbs-White.
Exactly. Eventually we did. So yeah, as you said, there's a lot to talk about. So I thought we'd just kind of dive straight in and kind of talk about some of the things that have been going on. So I kind of want to start with kind of the first real news that came out this summer was the potential signing of the three lads from Brazil, from Botafogo. So I'm going to try and butcher their names right now. There's the Jay Cunha, who's the 20-year-old centre back. I think he's 6'6". He looks like a great kind of addition. You've got the Koibano, the 22-year-old left back, who looks pacey and I think has also had interest from Brighton. And then there's Igor Jesus, who seems to be the one that's kind of drawing a lot of the attention, the 24-year-old striker. What do you kind of make of? I don't imagine you've seen a lot of these players before. I don't think many people have. What do you make of these sort of signings, Sara?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what's going on like the rest of us, really. I mean, he looks like a good striker, doesn't he, Jesus? And he hasn't scored loads of goals, but I think that's been explained with what he can actually bring into the game and bring other players into the game, which is what we've not got at the moment. The 6'6" young guy, I think we need to bolster our defence. And I believe, am I right in thinking that the left back is still being looked at by Brighton? So I'm not sure if this is all a done deal at the moment. It sounds like the striker, it sounds like Jesus is the done deal, and maybe the other two are possibilities. But it seems a bit, I don't know, it seems to be like we seem to be selling and buying within the Trexter multi-ownership clubs, although it's not multi-ownership according to Sky. So, but no, exciting really. I mean, we've done well with the Brazilians. It's only really Scarpa that probably didn't get the opportunities we thought, and maybe didn't come into England at the right time because he came off a very busy season. So, I mean, I'm always an optimistic Forest fan. So, if they look good, don't they? So,
yeah, like you say, I think the Brazilian contingent seem to have done well for us, haven't they? So I'm interested to see. I mean, I think it's going to look like we're going to have quite a big South American contingent again in the squad next season. Do you think that kind of helps gel the squad together?
Well, we've got a Portuguese manager, so obviously he speaks the language, so that's great, isn't it? So he's got English, Portuguese. I don't know, he probably speaks other languages as well. So, I mean, I have tried to dabble at Portuguese myself, but I'm rubbish, and actually it's quite a difficult language, I think, as well. So I think it helps. I think they appreciate how fast the game is. I know I've listened to some of our Brazilian players, and and they've actually said it's quite understandable, but the game is so much faster here in the Premier League. The pitches so much better, so obviously the ball moves a lot quicker, and it's quite a tough league to come to. Obviously it's a tough league for anybody, but it's really tough, I think, for all those other reasons as well for the Brazilians. So I can't see it has worked well, so why change it? You don't want to change it if it's not broken. So and it was nice to see Murillo last night at the game as well. He was in one of the boxes behind me, I think, with his newborn baby girl, so that was lovely, and congratulations to him. So and we all love the Brazilian players, don't we?
Yeah, we do. They bring a real flair and spark to the game. It's great to see that. I mean, the Forest have got a Brazilian capped player. I think that's just it's mental to think that, isn't it? So yeah, it's great. It's great to see. And like I say, it's these signings aren't confirmed yet as we're talking now. But I think for the region of about 35 million euros is what's been spoken about. And I think from what I'm hearing about these players and what's kind of been thrown around on social media, that it'd be very good business for Forest, and based on the track record and the scouting that we've done, I think it could end up being a lucrative kind of deal for us.
I think, is it because they've gone to the Club World Cup that it's not been announced? Maybe it is a done deal. I don't know. But they've gone off to the Club World Cup, haven't they? That's what I
Yeah,
believe has happened. So good luck to them. I'm not so sure about my opinions on that. Really, I'm not really totally sold on something like that. I think the players need a bit of a break. There's lots of international. I mean, I know ours aren't involved in it, and there's only a couple of English squads, I believe, in the Club World Cup.
yeah,
So yeah, but I think that's probably why they've not been confirmed.
yeah. We'll hold off on our opinions on the Club World Cup until Forest are invited to it in a couple of years' time.
Well, I've heard the ticket sales aren't very good. I read that yesterday or somewhere that it was like they've only actually sold 25,000. So maybe it's not as popular as they think.
Yeah, maybe. Um, So on the flip side of that, I think I kind of wanted to talk about. I mean, we've mentioned him already because he was obviously playing for England yesterday. But Morgan Gibbs-White, there's been a few rumours flying about since even during the end of last season that he may be leaving the club. And I've seen there was obviously Man City had interest in Chelsea, and then I've now seen that there's potential interest from Saudi as well. Does that worry you? And do you think? Like Morgan Gibbs-White in particular is someone that we need to keep hold of.
Um, I'm not worried. I think what the club decides to do, they've got the club's best interests at heart. I'd love to keep Morgan Gibbs-White. I'd love for him to sign a new contract. If he does stay, it's imperative really that he does sign a new contract. But no, I'm not worried. I don't want him to go. But then part of me thinks, is that what we've got to do to then progress further? I don't think we're under any PSO issues. I know there's been some information going around saying that we can actually lose 82 million and be fine. And we're quite, the figure's quite good. So I don't think this year maybe we could keep hold of him quite. I'd love to keep hold of him. I mean, he's great. I mean, he came on last night for England, and I thought he just adds that spark, doesn't he? He's up there, his energy, he's jumping around, he's skipping over players. They can't get the ball off him still. I think he's great, and I think he's been brilliant for us. And I think he'll only get better. And I think more assists and goals we'll probably see from him, especially if they're going to add some more players to actually help him in that area, and he'll play further up. But I definitely think some more wingers, and I think we'll see the best of him. He's really quickly become he feels like he's one of our own, doesn't he? And also, if with the European competition, we do need homegrown, and then we also need some not just homegrown but also club-grown players. And he obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White, comes under the homegrown, doesn't he, as an English player? So he double really. We need to keep him. Yeah, I don't think anybody would want to see him go. But if he does go, I think we've all made peace with that. I don't know, I made peace with that before the end of the season. I was a bit annoyed, really, that Man City made all those noises about it just as we were playing the semi-final in the FA Cup. It felt a bit like maybe, I mean, I know he had quite a good game second half, and he should have scored. But maybe they just turned his head a little bit, or I'm sure he's very professional, but it's very difficult when there's a lot of noise going around. And I'm sure he didn't go in there, but you do wonder whether they do try and unsettle these players, which feels it feels a bit unfair.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that was probably the tactics at the time from Man City, which is a bit unsportsmanlike, you could say.
I don't really see him going to Saudi. I don't know about you, Sam.
No, I agree. I think he's too switched on to, and I think he values his kind of career and his kind of chances of playing England football higher than that. And I think it'd be a silly decision for him to and go and kind of chase the money in Saudi now, because it'd be a potential kind of career suicide. I think he's got the potential to be England's number 10, and I think genuinely do believe that. I think he's got the ability to do that, and I mean, it may not happen with this manager. I mean, like I say, yesterday I couldn't believe that he didn't. First of all, he didn't start, and then second of all, came on the left wing. I was like, oh, after being the poster boy of the whole thing and getting that standing ovation when he came on, and yeah, and like you say, he was the bright spark when he came on. So yeah, I'm firmly in the camp of it, that he needs to stay. I think, like you say, if we're not in the PSR trouble, then I think you've got to keep hold of your best players to progress in this league.
Well, we just need to look at Southampton. I mean, they hail Brighton at the moment. The media, I've got a bit of a downer on the media, to be honest, but they hail Brighton with the way that they do it. You know, they bring them in and sell them on, and they did the same with Southampton a number of years ago. But look where Southampton are now, because you can't. Eventually, I think that model runs its course, and you can't keep doing it. So we don't want to be a Southampton again, and then we go down because we've sold all the good players. So if we are going to use that model, we do need to adapt it to, and we don't need to sell everybody. And like, it is just like maybe one, but like I'm with you. Keep him this year if we can afford to keep him. I'm sure Marinakis will if he can.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think similarly, there's been a lot of rumours about Anthony Elanga as well. Some of the other English clubs are sniffing around Elanga, which is, I think, obviously Newcastle were interested in January as well. Again, are you in a similar sort of position with Anthony Elanga, or is he someone that maybe when the price is right could go for you?
No, I think he's got still more to give. I was on this pod earlier in the season when he wasn't playing very much, and I think I've mentioned this before, so I'm going over old ground, but there was quite a bit of noise about him, and people were saying he's not good enough, he's not playing, and they asked me my opinion, and I felt that he's a young player, I think he's only still 21, or he was at the time. He might be 22 now. He's a very pacey winger, and we know that when you've got the pace like that, if you've got a slight injury, then you do tend to not, it does tend to affect you on the pitch. I think Nuno was managing him at the time, but there was a lot of noise from the fans as well. They thought, maybe we should have let him go to Newcastle. And I said, no, I think he's managing him. I think he's managing his minutes. He's introducing him slowly. We don't know what's going on in training. We don't know whether he's fit. He came back. And he's just been a revelation, hasn't he, the second half of the season? And he's gone a bit quiet towards the end, but then, that goal against Man United, he just showed what he could do. He's brilliant. And I felt that when we had that fantastic run towards Christmas, it was him and Callum Hudson-Odoi that were absolutely on fire, weren't they? We won at Liverpool because he brought them on in the second half, kept it at 0-0, brought them on. They were it. And I think when one of those two dropped off, I think Callum Hudson-Odoi had the injury when we went into the Bournemouth match, and he came back. Maybe he's not quite been, cooking on all on full gas. So, I think we should definitely keep him. I don't know how we'd replace him, to be honest. He offers so much, and he's so pacey. And I think, scoring against Man U showed exactly he was like he could do it on his own as well.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's anyone currently out there playing at this level that's kind of like him. I think he's having a winger that's so direct and, like say, so quick is so unique, and that's probably why he's so sought after by some of these other clubs.
Well, we let Johnson go, didn't we? And we've managed to replace him. So, yeah, and we didn't think we would be able to replace him with someone with so much pace. But yeah, he's done a great job for us. So I definitely keep him for me. I mean, Newcastle, I don't think they've put an offer in yet, but there's still talk about 50 million. But if he was worth 50 million last season, he's certainly worth more than that now. And he's still got 4 years. So. Am I right in thinking he's got 3 years or 3 years?
I'm
3 years
unsure
left.
about what he's got in his
Yeah,
contract, but I
he's
know
got
he's not in
3.
danger anytime soon, is he?
He's got 3 years, so no, there's no reason for us to sell him.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree with that. Right, I think we're going to have to talk about it. This whole Crystal Palace situation. So I want to get your opinions on it, but first I think I'll just give a bit of context for anyone that's been living under a rock for the last few days. So yeah, for context, the Crystal Palace owner, John Textor, he owns, I think, about 43% of Crystal Palace. He's also the owner of Lyon, and both clubs are due to compete in the Europa League next season. However, UEFA have got pretty strict rules on multi-club ownership in their competitions. Hence why you saw Marinakis relinquish his shares in Forest in March, I think it was. So yeah, by the sounds of it, Palace have obviously missed that deadline to do that because they weren't thinking they were going to be in it. And if Palace were then prevented from playing in that competition next season, Forest would get their place. So it's a real messy one. We're talking about off the pitch rules again, like we just seem to be doing more and more often these days. But Sarah, what are your thoughts on the whole situation? Do you like it? Like, obviously, it will have a positive impact on Forest, but just as a situation as a whole, what are your thoughts?
So I have followed this a little bit. So I initially thought he didn't put his shares in on the 1st of March, did he, Marinakis? I thought that seems a long time ago, and I'm sure it was quite recent. So I think Marinakis, from what I can remember or what I've read, he put the shares in a blind trust on April the 29th. So we actually missed the deadline as well. But I think they have they will take that into account that if you've missed the deadline but you've actually made sufficient changes, then they will take that into account. And I think that's what Crystal Palace have got going forward now. They're going to have to make some changes. I believe that they'll be let in to Europa, and they have won it fair and square. It'd be lovely for us to get Europa, but I'm not sure I want to be in it like that. That feels a bit, and we don't know what was in the letter from Marinakis. I'd probably think there wasn't anything derogative against Crystal Palace because of his relationships with Trexter. I think, reading between the lines, maybe he just asked UEFA to make things clear because we need to know and they need to know, what competitions we're playing in. And I don't think it's a dead cert that we would then drop into the Europa, although even though Sky keeps saying that Crystal Palace aren't a multi-club ownership or multi-ownership club, I think I've read somewhere that he had quite a lot to do with bringing Glasner into as manager. So he does have some decision making. And then also they wouldn't be able to drop down into the Conference League because he also owns another club beginning with
Brondby,
yes. So I don't know how that works out. The only other side of me, the Forest fan side of me, feels like if this was us, we'd have been chucked out by now. Or maybe I'm just feeling sorry for myself. And Sky would probably have a bit of a different slant on it, saying, well, why didn't you do this earlier? I know that we were in a good position and it looked like we were going to get Champions League or Europa. And I know Crystal Palace didn't on the 1st of March, but by the 29th of April, they knew they had won that semi-final. So why hadn't they done it before then? Lyon had dropped into the Europa last minute, and that was due to PSG winning the French Cup. But PSG won it? But they're one of the strongest teams in France, and they're saying apparently it was a surprise. So I don't know. This is just what I'm reading. So I'm not an expert on any of this. Yes, lovely Europa, not really. With it, have a bad taste in all our mouths, wouldn't it? And I think we need to think that we're in the conference. But we don't look. Sky never make us look very good, do they? Though.
No, there's a lot of speculation about this so-called letter to UEFA that's obviously gone in and the contents of what it is, and it's all speculation at the moment. But I think the media as a whole have kind of taken that Forest are trying to interfere and trying to disrupt Crystal Palace's attempts to get into the Europa League. Nobody knows that. No one's seen the letter. At the end of the day, there's speculation that it could be that way, and with it being Forest, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if that is the case. However, the club have also got to prepare themselves for what European competition they want to be in, they're going to be in next season. So they need clarity as fast as they can. They're trying to sign players, and they need to know what kind of level of European football they need to prepare themselves for next season. So I understand that the uncertainty is very frustrating for everyone involved, particularly Palace fans, but Forest fans as well. That and the club need to be aware and need to know what's going on with that situation. And I fully agree with you that I think on absolute merit, Crystal Palace got into that competition through winning the FA Cup. I mean, obviously there was the very controversial VAR decision with Dean Henderson in the final that got them there, but I'll say no more on that. But as a Forest fan, like you say, it just feels like if it was us, the book would be being thrown at us, and we'd be straight out, and we'd be getting made an example of in this situation, and Marinakis would be being made an example of. So on one side, I'm thinking I don't want Palace to go out, and on the other side, I'm thinking, well, tough, rules are rules. If it was us, then that's the way it'd be. So get on with it, and we'll play Europa League football next season.
I mean, on the flip side, if they don't abide by the rules and UEFA let them in, then what is the point of having the rules or any rules? Because if you can not follow them, so I understand that bit as well. But I think this is one of the rules that they are going to get rid of. But I don't know. That's just what's been reported. Yeah. I was going to say something else as well, but it seems to have got me. But if I remember it, I will say something. But I was going to say that actually Brighton could be a benefit as well, and they're keeping very quiet. But I think they may have something to say once the decision comes. That they're not in, but who knows? I don't know. But it seems it's weird how football works, isn't it? It's their biggest rival, and it's them that could benefit as well.
I know. It'd be a real shame for Crystal Palace fans if that was the case. But yeah, it's an interesting one. And yeah, I think the decision is going to be made by the end of this month. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more media speculation and a lot more goings on with that scenario. But until then, we're not going to find out until the end of this month, I don't think.
I think also as well, Marinakis has had a lot of dealings with UEFA, with Olympiacos, and I think he's probably got a better relationship with them than the FA, I would have thought. So maybe they wouldn't be that quick to make a decision with him, and maybe different because the relationships are different. But certainly I think the media like to have a dig at us, don't they? And Marinakis is probably just sat there laughing that he's wrote this letter. He knows what it says. Trexter knows what it says, and it's and the media are having a right go. I mean, I didn't listen to, but there was something on Talk Sport. I don't know if it was Darren Bent, and I think he'd had a bit of a go at what we've written, but I don't know how he knows what it is. So.
Yeah, everyone's got an opinion everyone's got a really strong opinion on something that they know
it's
about,
a shame, but yeah, I think he quite likes it though.
Yes, it's drama, and it's what makes the headlines, isn't it? It's like the clickbait element, isn't it? So
yeah, it is.
Yeah. But anyway, on a nicer note, obviously Forest will be playing European football next season. To what extent we don't know, but we'll be playing European football next season. So, what are you most excited about the prospect of playing in Europe next season?
I haven't been to any of the European matches. So my brothers went to the European Cup final. I was a bit too young for the European Cup finals. And I was a little bit later. My husband went to the European nights that we had in the 90s. But I missed out on those, I had young babies at the time. So, so I'm looking forward to the European nights, experiencing something completely different. But, we've experienced the Premier League the last 3 years, which has just been amazing. I'm expecting the same, whichever competition we're in. I wasn't excited about the Conference League when I thought, Conference League, not Europa or Champions League. But actually, I think it's really great. I watched the final with Chelsea. Is it Real Betis? And I really enjoyed it. I thought, it's a competition. It's a cup. I've already booked my hotel for the final. On a free cancellation, so I'm looking forward to a trip to Leipzig if that does come off. Yeah, just experiencing it really, and hoping to get to some of the away games, experiencing the cities if I've not been to any. I think some of them are a little bit obscure that they could be, trying to see where we could be going. But it's just exciting, isn't it? We're just we're in another hat to get pulled out of, not just so we can look at the fixtures. I think they're out next week, aren't they, for the Premier League? And then I think August we'll get confirmation on. We'll have an idea on 2 that will be playing in the playoff, and then we'll know by is it something like the 21st of August who we're going to have in August to play, and then we'll all be trying to get tickets, and if it's home, there's a home and away leg, so that's going to be exciting on top of Premier League and Premier League away games. So yeah, bring it on. It's great, isn't it? I mean, as a Forest fan, how can you not be excited? You've got to be excited. Europe's whether it's Europa, Champions League or Conference. I know that, we hearing that Champions League music down at the City Ground would have been absolutely amazing. Real Madrid, the chances of playing those, but also I think I firmly believe we're on a path, and that's where we're going to end up, whether it's this year, next year, in a couple of years' time. I think we've just got to be really optimistic, and we've just got to enjoy the journey and not maybe run before we can walk, and and that's how I see it really. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Are you?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I am obviously. I'm too young to.
You've got a better excuse for me for not being at Europe games, haven't you? I mean, I'm unfortunately, I was old enough to be at some of them, but I wasn't. So, but I certainly will be next time.
Yeah, well, I never knew that. I never thought it would happen in this early on in my lifetime. Anyway, when we were sat in like the League One days, but yeah, it's amazing. I'm just thinking of like the thought of 3,000 Eastern European football fans in that corner at the City Ground with like flares and all sorts on a Tuesday night. I think the atmosphere is just going to be incredible, isn't it? Like it's going to be a really, really special thing to witness. So yeah, and. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It really is. I've got a lot of people that have said to me that, are you not a bit concerned about the kind of the additional games with Forest? And I know obviously the squad's a little bit thin, and you've kind of seen what's happened with Tottenham and Man United this season when they've had really dreadful domestic seasons but gone far in those competitions. Do you think that's any sort of concern?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. But Tottenham's had a lot of injuries as well, haven't they? They've got a big squad. Chelsea's got a big squad. But that's why we're going to be making some signings. I mean, surely that he's going to bolster. We're going to probably see a different 25-man squad in the Europe squad than we are in the Premier League. There's going to be a crossover, but I think some of them will miss out from that are in the Premier League to the Europe, and for the reasons I mentioned earlier, probably because we've got to have so many homegrown or the UK grown, and so many club homegrown. So I think there's been whispers there's been discussions that Taylor, the striker, who's been on loan at Wigan, he could potentially be in the squad for these reasons, because we have got to look at, I think it might be, is it 4 or 2? I know we've got to have some.
I think it's 4, yeah.
And they've got to have been club grown, haven't they?
Yeah, there's a limit for how long they've been at the club. It may be, I can't remember the exact, but there's a period of time that a player.
Yeah, and I think it might hit under. Yeah, I think it might hit under the 18-year age. So I'm not worried. I mean, if you said to me, we're going to get relegated, then yeah, but I think Marinakis has dealt with having Europe and being in the home leagues. I know that it's not the same, and I know how relentless Premier League is. But these players, they're top players. If they want to be top players, then they've got to deliver in both. We need some more squad rotation, don't we? That's what we probably missed this season, and that's what's probably happened to us towards the end of the season. So I truly think we'll get some decent players in. We'll have squad rotation, and the beauty of us going in the conference is that we haven't got to be buying. We're not going to be vying for those top 6 players to manage to, see us through, we probably would have gone out in the early. Whereas with the Conference League, we can attract players that are actually going to get, football. They're going to get European, and they're going to get some Premier League, and we're going to do a lot of squad rotation. So, and they're not going to, don't have to be that like elite top, and we can perhaps grow them again like we have done with the players that we've signed previously. And I think that's where we need to be as a club. We all know what our aim is. We know what the owner's aim is. The fans are already there. We need the stadium. I did notice yesterday, because I generally sit in main stand, sitting across the road, across the pitch from main stand in the Brian Clough. It looks really tired. So I think we've got to see that stadium improvement, in whatever shape it is, and we need to increase the capacity. And having Europe is going to, is going to secure that for us, isn't it? Going in years to come. And I think Forest now, we're not seeing ourselves as a potential relegation club. We need to be looking at a top half finish, in the next few years, so that we can carry on building. What a fantastic season we've had. I was really disappointed after that final game, knowing as well that other teams had not had the results we thought, and one goal in it, we'd have got Europa if they hadn't have scored. But Levi Colwell gave us Premier League, and he took Champions League away from us, didn't he, or Europa? So, some days you win and some days you lose, but we didn't lose. We've got Europe, and I'm more than happy. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's really exciting times, isn't it? So it's nice to be talking about all the positive stuff.
And it's great for you guys. You're so like young. I mean, I watched it that season we went up. Sorry, I'm putting it in the Championship, and all the younger people there, and the away games, and singing in the concourse. And I mean, it started with Lamucci, didn't it? And then it carried on, and when we got promotion, and it's just great. And you must feel now that all those old fuddy-duddies like me that talked about the good old days when we were watching it or reading it or expecting it, you can have that connection now, because you're actually living it, aren't you? And witnessing it firsthand. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, just having my dad, as like going to games with him, and just the kind of the difference. It almost felt like we'd supported different clubs, because he'd had all this history and seen so much success and so many great things with the club, and I'd only seen what I'd seen up to that point. And then now it feels like I can merge the history and what's going on now together, and it all just, it feels special. It really does. So it's great stuff. It's great stuff. So I thought, just as something a little bit different to end the podcast, we'll test Sarah's knowledge on how much she was paying attention last season, and do a little bit of a quiz, if that's all right.
I'm so bad with names. I'm so bad with names. I'm so bad.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. We'll give it a go. You can play along if you're listening, and let us know how many you get right in the comments. Okay, so the first one I've got is, how many clean sheets did Matt Sells keep last season?
I've got 11 in my head, but I've got a feeling it might have been 13 in the end. He was joint with Raya, wasn't he?
He was joint with Raya.
Was it 13? 11. 13. 11.
I'll give you that. It was 13. It was 13.
It was 13. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I've got 11 in my head, and then I'm thinking, no, it was 13. I should know that from my fantasy.
Okay. Question number 2. Apart from Matt Sells, who played the most minutes in the Premier League for Forest?
Milenkovic.
Correct. Milenkovic, the player of the season. Yeah, he was fantastic, wasn't he? Question number 3. Who did Forest beat in their first FA Cup game of the season? It was at home in January.
Was it Luton?
It was Luton Town. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to it.
Question 4. 2 players received red cards in the Premier League last season. Who were they?
Morgan.
Yeah.
And I should know this, shouldn't I? Probably watched it.
He didn't play much for us.
Oh. Not Sosa or Jota. No, I've gone blank.
It was
Go
the
on.
other. It was the other double-barreled namer. It was James Ward-Prowse at Chelsea away.
Do you know? I think that was the only one he's ever had in his career, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a kneeless one, wasn't it, as well? But
Yeah,
yeah,
of course, because I was there. And we played 20 odd minutes with
and
10
we
men
should have
and
won that
drew.
game and we should have won the game with 10 men, shouldn't we?
And walking away from that ground, I had to listen to the Chelsea fans telling his young kid that he'd had to deal with teams coming to Stamford Bridge and putting 11 men behind the ball and playing a real dire football. And I don't know how I kept myself quiet. My husband was looking at me like, shut up.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Oh, that's funny. All right, question 5. Couple of questions left. How many times did Nuno win the Manager of the Month award?
Well, it was definitely 2, but I think it might have been 3.
Correct. 3. Yeah, you won it 3 times. Yeah, obviously an unbelievable season for him. And then the final question. So there's five points up for grabs here. Which 5 teams did Forest do the double over in the Premier League this season?
Okay, so Man U.
Yeah, that's 1.
Tottenham.
That's 2.
Southampton.
3.
They didn't do Leicester. Who else went down? Ipswich.
Yeah, that's 4.
Got one more, haven't I? Everyone's
Yeah.
screaming at me, aren't they? It wasn't Wolves and it wasn't Brentford. I should know this. Go on.
West Ham United.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Great away win, and then we thumped them 3-0 at the start of the season.
Yeah, we did.
Funny,
Yeah.
I walked out from that 3-0, and I put a bet on Forest, £5 on Forest to win the league, and I ended up getting a cash out at some point. So yeah, that was.
I didn't cash out my bets. I got told to leave them. I did have one at top 4 as well.
Yeah. Well, it was a good play at that time of season, wasn't it? But yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of wrapped up. So let us know how you did in the comments. Sarah, thank you very much. I really appreciate you jumping on and talking about Forest. We'll be back with another episode in a couple of weeks' time, maybe. Max is still away, so I think Mark will be running through some of the potential transfers in and the kind of the requirements that Forest have for transfers this season. So Mark will dive into that with a guest, I'm sure. But yeah, Sarah, thank you very much.
That's okay. I think Max is he somewhere South America looking at some more players for us? Do you think?
He is. He's scouting in Colombia, I think, right now. So he's having a good time.
He's off. He's doing the whole continent, isn't he? So yeah,
he is.
Thank you very much, Sam.
No worries at all. Thanks for listening. Cheers, guys.